Hi, I'm Brownell Landrum, and today my guest is Dr. Bruce Kaloski, an internationally noted clinical hypnotherapist with more than 40 years' experience in the field. He's widely recognized as one of the foremost trainers, educators, and practitioners in the field of hypnotherapy and counts internationally known celebrities from stage, screen, and sports among his clients and students and clientele. He is founder and past president of the American Board of Hypnotherapy and founded and directed the Center for Clinical Hypnotherapy, building it into the nation's largest network of private hypnotherapy clinics. He is the author of two best-selling books, one of which just happens to address the topic of today's interview, which is the use of hypnosis for losing weight. He calls his weight loss system Psych Yourself Slim. Welcome, Dr. Kaloski. Can you tell our viewers how this program, the Psych Yourself Slim, works and helps people shed those unwanted pounds and inches?
Well, thanks for having me, Brownell, and I'll be glad to tell the people. Let's start by looking at hypnosis, the guiding principle behind hypnosis, for whatever it's being used for, is that it allows us to bypass the conscious part of the mind and communicate directly with the subconscious part, which is where our habits, or beliefs, attitudes, paradigms, if you will, are formed. And overeating or eating the wrong foods, the fattening foods, is very much a habit. You see, the mind is a lot like a computer. And just as you can program a computer, so can you program the mind. But there's one big difference. The mind can choose to accept or reject the programming. Naturally, we wanted to accept it. In order to help it along the way, I incorporate something called guided imagery. Now, guided imagery is based on a very powerful premise. Simply stated, the premise is what the mind can conceive and believe, it can also achieve. Or before anything can be accomplished physically, it must be accomplished mentally. Or the human central nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real or a vividly imagined experience. It reacts the same either way.
That's fascinating. Tell us, what do you really mean by that? What does that mean?
Let's say you go to the movies or you watch TV. Now you see a movie about a little boy and his dog. Now that dog is that little boy's faithful companion. He's had that dog since he was a pup. They're inseparable. They go everywhere together. They do everything together. Tragically, the dog dies at the end of the movie. Little boy starts crying. His parents are crying. Hey, even the mailman's bawling his eyes out. So what do?
I cry.
You bet you do. I know I do. I'm not ashamed to admit it. What's everybody crying about? We all know the dog didn't really die. We know that after filming, that dog got in his limousine, went home, and had his dinner. It's a movie. It's pure illusion, total delusion. But for a moment, we allow it to be real. Matter of fact, we react as if it is real. So a psychological or thought process results in a physical reaction, tears. Both responses occur to the absence of critical, analytical, or reflective thought, as it's called. Unreality becomes reality because you allow it to happen. In other words, what the mind conceives, the body tends to achieve. The device used is the human imagination. Now, we can apply those very same principles to weight loss. With hypnosis, we can do things like have a person see, picture, imagine, experience, actually feel themselves slim, trim, thin, fit, looking great, feeling fantastic, feeling the feeling of being in control, them in control, not some donut, a piece of chocolate, or French fry, or whatever their problem food is, pushing their button, or in other words, controlling them. And the best way to take that control back is to change the attitude that they have towards the food. See, what we're actually doing is we're changing the desire for the food into a stronger desire for whatever it is that's going on to keep them from being slim and trim, kind of redirecting all that energy. So that all of a sudden, it's not important anymore, meaning the foods. All of a sudden, they can take them or they can leave them. They're just as soon leave them.
Makes sense. But what do you say to someone who says don't have any willpower?
Well, let's take a look at this question of willpower. You see, willpower means that you have to deprive yourself of something that you want. Nobody likes to do that. I know I don't. I'm sure you don't either.
Mhm.
And you don't have to. Because if you don't want that food in the first place, how can you possibly feel deprived of something that you don't want? You can't. That's a contradiction in terms.
How about an example? Can you give us an actual story with a client that how this worked?
Yeah, there's one that really stands out in my mind. It's happened several years ago. I had a lady come in to me for weight loss, and she was a Hostess Twinkie freak. That was her thing. She was eating 6, 8, sometimes 10 of those a day. Well, okay, so I did a session with her, and next week I got her back for the second session, and I said, "Well, how you doing?" She says, "Fine, doc. Had 2 Twinkies last week." Well, nobody's going to get fat on 2 Twinkies a week, but that was enough to satisfy her. You see, were I to tell her, no Twinkies, now we're talking diet. Now we're talking deprivation. Who kept her happy? Maybe next week one will keep her happy. Maybe she won't want any. But what's the difference? She's eating as much as she wants. Just doesn't happen to want that much.
That's really powerful. I mean, it really made a difference in this woman's life. Your Psych Yourself Slim program sounds to really work. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it really made a dramatic shift in her attitude and her behavior towards the food. You know, there's an old saying, before the weight can come off and stay off the body, it has to come off from between the ears. Simply put, this means that the only way to permanently lose those pounds and inches is to change one's attitude toward food and eating. And that's precisely what the Psych Yourself Slim method does. So after this program, it would actually take willpower to eat the fattening foods because the person eats less because they actually want less. They don't want to stress. Stress that this is a very positive approach. There are no shots, no diets, no pills, no aversion therapy. In other words, I don't make the food taste bad to the person. I don't even say they can't have the food. See, that's a diet. That would be ridiculous. I will, however, say that they want it. Big difference between can't have and don't want. You see, it's one's totally negative, the other one's totally positive. And I honestly believe that's the very positiveness of this approach that allows the overwhelming majority of people who go through this program to not only lose the weight, but also keep it off. And that's important.
That's really incredible. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaloski, for joining us today. If there's anyone out there who's interested in Dr. Kaloski's Psych Yourself Slim system of weight loss through hypnotherapy, you'll find his contact information at the bottom of the screen.
Well, I want to thank you, Brownell, for having me here today. And I also want to thank all you viewers out there for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you.